So this is going to be a breakdown of another, sorry about the noise here, it's a little hot. This is going to be a breakdown of another, I think they're American tuning company, I don't know. I'm pretty positive they're American. At one point, they were labeled the best in the industry for this type of tuning. What we have here is their 60 horsepower tune. So we're going to compare their 60 horsepower tune to the factory tune. Now, from what I understand, this company actually had dyno proof, and this company actually did a lot more work to their vehicle than the other company I showed you yesterday. Okay, so we'll go over this one as well, same as we did yesterday, and kind of go over things and maybe point out the differences between this one and the one from yesterday, or just point out what I think that could have been done better or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So they lowered the idle. They increased the idle on regular range. I'm sorry, that's the temperature. Okay, let's see if they did a cold adder. They actually took some of the cold adder away, which that doesn't really make sense, to be completely honest. We can take a look here. They lowered the idle again. Not really sure why they lowered the idle, unless it was maybe to try and save fuel while idling. They might have more of an explanation of that, I guess. Let's see. They raised the overspeed threshold. They lowered the maximum engine speed in a couple places. Nothing really too crazy there. Diesel fueling. Honestly, I'm trying to really think here. It looks like they left the tables themselves the same up there, but they lowered the middle section here of the tune, and then they raised the section here. And what this is a torque-based fuel. This is the amount of torque the engine makes based on a specific amount of fuel quantity, based on RPM, blah, 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 blah. Typically, we don't change this area unless it's a last resort, used as a band-aid to fix other issues we may have. And sometimes the issue we may have is the gauge for the fuel might not be reading properly. In that case, they may, lower it here. Let's say it's reading the gas mileage is too good or something, or the gas mileage is reading worse than it is. You can modify these to get the gas mileage to read more properly. But this does mess with other equations in the vehicle's computer, so we try to leave areas like this stock unless you're going to touch all the areas related to it. And usually if you are going to change it, you usually copy and paste it over to the transient table instead of just leaving the transient table alone. Injector pulse width, would you look at that? Wide open throttle only. They claim this is a 60 horsepower tune, and all they did was increase the fuel at extreme wide open throttle. I don't really like that, to be honest. You don't just add fuel right here. You know what I mean? Everything should be linear. Things should be linear. They shouldn't be, you shouldn't just add it in one spot type of deal, okay? So, you have your chart here. You have this here, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. This still stays kind of linear, except with a slight curvature. And by increasing it in certain areas, all it does is stretch this up. But it changes the curve itself, because the curve in here will be the same, and as the curve comes up, the curve in here will be kind of the same, but as it comes up, it just drastically angles up, and that really kind of goes against everything. Nothing in an engine just goes up, nothing goes down. There needs to be a nice transition. Don't be wrong, there's nothing wrong with what you're seeing here, but at the end of the day, what you're seeing here is another company that's just targeting wide open throttle, and that's it. That's not how you tune engines. This is how a lot of big Hemi tuners tune their stuff, and it's awful. It's absolutely awful, okay? Pilot injection. This company does modify their pilot injection, okay? As you can see, they lowered it. So where you get this red is where they lowered it. and the blue is where they raised it. Okay, so lowered, raised. These changes aren't really that dramatic. They claim that this is to help with the help reduce. Actually, in this specific vehicle, it doesn't have emissions, so this really has almost no purpose whatsoever, other than maybe trying to save fuel economy. But you don't just change 4 or 5 cells, and this is where your fuel economy is. You're not at 295 torque going down the freeway. Okay, pilot injection 2, same thing. And to be honest, they might not even change these. This might be an update, from one stock computer to a different one. Okay. Pilot 3, they made kind of a drastic change there. Okay. But they lowered this middle section here. Now again, this is kind of highway area. It is kind of highway area what you're getting right here, but the highway area is going to be more like right here. Okay. Post injection. Honestly, there's no reason for this to even. These changes absolutely make not really any sense. Post injection is there for a specific reason, and that is mainly to help with the regeneration process. Leaving post injection on is probably why their fuel economy is actually a couple miles per gallon worse than our tuning, because they're just spraying fuel in there for almost absolutely no reason. Now you could argue that somehow that's helping push the piston down so the other one comes up and whatever else, but look, it's not dramatic enough to make changes that would negate things like that. Okay, post injection again. Honestly, either they made a lot of these almost look like a computer update, because if it is tuning, it wasn't really that that intricate of tuning. Okay, so post maximum injection quantity versus stock versus this. This is allowing up to 50 milligrams of post injection quantity. So they turned up the post injection quantity, allowing for more post injection. Okay, diesel timing. You can see from yesterday, so there's no green here, no green here, no green here, missing green here, missing green over here. They changed the minimum amount of tables. Now, this specific company had a lot more research and development into some of the software stuff than other companies did. So there may be a partial reason why they didn't change the other tables, as in the vehicle may not have ever hit it, or they didn't see it necessary. Okay. Start of injection timing. This number here, okay, 0 is. I'm trying to think here how to word this properly. The higher the number, the sooner or the earlier on the fuel sprays. Okay, the lower the number, negative, the later on it sprays. Technically, negative is after, positive is before. Okay. Not really a dramatic change. I mean, that's not even enough really to help fuel economy or literally anything. Same thing. Changes are a little dramatic. They don't really make sense. Yeah, look. This company made a tune, made some power with it, and they sold it. And they wanted to make sure that, see, like this, they added some timing in there. That's fine. Guess what? You're never going to hit this, and for most of these, you're probably never going to hit this. Okay, not really impressed with any of this at all. They didn't really spend any time in here. Now, they reduced some of the area which they assumed was the cruising area, which this is not the cruising area. They reduced the pilot timing there to probably help with fuel economy. Again, not the cruising area, close to it, but that's not it. That's too much power. For cruising down the road, it's not going to do you any benefit. Post timing, no changes to the post timing again. Torque model, they didn't change the maximum attainable amount of torque that you're allowed to make, so you can't really do anything other than what you would have been from the factory there. You know, they did some changes here to some of the torque management stuff. You can see they maxed out some of these tables, which I think some of these are maxed out on mine as well, so this here is pretty reasonable. Torque management, nothing really here to look at here. All they did was extend this all the way up, but again, you shouldn't even really be in this area. Driver demand, engine, I mean, they literally took away some throttle response at very light pedal and then increased it here. But again, nothing really dramatic by any means. You know what I mean? This isn't really dramatic at all. I mean, like right here, sure, but this is nothing that you would want to write home about. Like this is going to make your pedal a little bit more responsive, but it's not going to give you that wow factor like you get when you actually spend a lot more time tuning into this. Turbocharger. You can see here they only changed one high altitude boost table. Okay. This is how many PSI they increased it. They decreased it in this area, which again, kind of your... Okay, let me get this straight here. Most of the time when you're cruising down the highway, this is the area you're going to fall into, okay? So this is the cruising area. They pulled boost from cruising. Makes sense at first thought, okay? The problem is when you start to creep up a hill or anything, you need boost. That's going to help you stay in gear, hold power without downshifting or lugging the engine. So not really something you want to do there. Barely added any boost anywhere across here. Same thing, took a little bit away where you'd be cruising. I mean, that's not even where you'd be cruising, to be completely honest. Like, when you're going, oh, maybe, hold on. No, the cruising, again, the cruising is 25 to 40 area, but again, you're going to be more or less right here, if anything. Okay, upper limit is changed to 300 kPa. 300 kPa is 43.5 psi. Now remember, this is atmospheric pressure plus how much boost you're making, okay? This puts the turbo at 30 psi, maximum 30 psi, okay? Not really anything dramatic there. Take a look at the vanes. Okay, so they were smart there. Actually, they weren't. I'm not going to say that at all. They took away a ton of vane usage, okay? The turbo vanes are how we make power, okay? The turbo vanes, they close, they make the turbo spool faster, it makes boost easier, okay? You don't want to take all of this and drop it down to this. This is going to lose a lot of boost, okay? It's going to probably help you get better fuel economy speeding up, but it's going to slow you down speeding up. And that, again, there's no reason for that. Same here, it looks like. Yep, they took a bunch of the turbo vane away. Not really impressed with these tables at all, to be completely honest. Again, some of these tunes, 60 wheel horsepower gain absolutely doesn't make sense. They barely added any boost, and all I did was add an absolute touch of fuel up top. You know, I really would like to upload this file onto a truck myself and actually try it and see what it does, because 60 horsepower seems a little bit unreasonable based off of what I'm seeing here. So that's this tune wrapped up in a nutshell. This tune right here is supposed to be the best tuning that you could get up until I don't know, a year ago or whatever. And honestly, just like what we saw yesterday, there's not much to look at. They did not spend enough time on it. Um, they did not. This is something that needs thousands and thousands and thousands of miles of creating and testing. A tune like this I could throw together in a couple minutes, send it on its way, and have the customer be happy. But that's not what you should be doing. You should be making a product that is 100% perfect for the customer so that the customer is happy forever, not happy until they realize that someone else makes a better product. I guess that's going to conclude this video for now. Maybe tomorrow we will do this one versus the other one, which this company has done that, and then try to say how much better their stuff was than them. But I feel like after comparing the two, it's not going to be that much of a difference, to be completely honest.